I am not here to debate with anyone. I have devoted all of my adult life to this subject. I only debate with my equals. All others I teach.
Good morning. Good morning. All right. All right. Let me go ahead and this video is a response to this live stream, should say, is response to DJ Witch Doctor's live stream. I was watching it from the earlier, a couple hours ago when I was at work. My work schedule changed. That's why you don't see me on live streams anymore. But let me answer the question. And I'm going to surmise because I'm a hazard this guess. I'm a hazard guess. I'm sorry, there's a strange light. Okay, anyway. Um I'm a hazard guess. Um what is learned? I believe to the question. Now I'm not a woman, right? I'm not. And I hate these, and let me say this right now. I cannot stand how black people in this space still talk about relationships when there's other factors going on that's creating the problem itself. They don't want to identify what is really the problem, but I'm gonna go about that in a minute. Uh, I don't think women of today uh can learn anything about the red pill manosphere content. There's nothing to be learned from. In the context of the post Kevin Samuels world, nothing can be learned because the meaning of red pill, the meaning of manosphere is gone. The purpose of it, the purpose of it it's on some uh, I can't stand women, I hate women aspect. What is missing, it's for somebody who witnessed the birth or was in the antibiotic stage. There was other issues that led on to this. Um, and the problem is these podcasters are allowing the other issues to not be brought up because they think everything has to be about dating, mating, and having sexual relations. Let's see who's in the chat room. Oh, what's going on, Hammer Time? Going with you. Morning to you. And what's gone is the what's gone from the conversation, just like anywhere else. What's gone is um the intellectualism, intellectualism of why men feel a certain way, because we got a lot of doofuses being the voice for everybody, and then you got the mass grift operation. You know, people grifting, so it dilutes what is the issue, and therefore nobody, male or female, I'm gonna say this again, both men and women had not learned anything from it. The only thing they learned from it is destructive. Now that's probably the only thing. That's probably the only thing women and men and some men can say what they learned from the Manosphere. It is destructive. It needs to be curbed, if not destroyed. But in order to destroy it, you have to understand it. In order to destroy an ideology, you have to understand it. You have to understand where it comes from, so that whatever it's feeding, what's feeding into it, uh can be cut off and therefore starve it. I'm gonna talk about incels another time, because that word incel um has been used too often and too much. But anyway, back to the point. Just as the word feminism has been used too much and too often, and it does not fit. Um, the word feminism itself does not fit. Just because a woman had a mind her own doesn't mean though she's a feminist. Just because a woman is loud and being, and um, putting a man in his place doesn't mean though she's a feminist. Same way like the incels. But anyway, I digress. Nothing can be learned outside of the destructiveness, the counterproductiveness. It, there's nothing to be learned from this. You have to understand it where it comes from. And my anger with those who are so-called anti-manosphere, those from the BWE who make live streams about the manosphere, they don't even understand it where it came from. You can't address it without addressing what Esther Villar wrote in her book, the Manipulated Man. You can't address the Manosphere and Red Pill community without addressing the book by Mental Strike by Dr. Helen A. Smith. You can't address the Red Pill ideology without addressing the book by War on Boys by Chris Sehoff Summers. You cannot address things by Man Not by Dr. Tom Curry. These are books that identify why there is um, a rise in the the red pill manosphere and podcasters, because there is a gap, and this gap has been going on since the late 70s. Now, I'm not going to sit there. I'm not going to use the term. Well, they kicked men out the household. Black men was not kicked out the household. Okay, get y'all facts straight. You can't kick the man out the household, especially if you own the house. Especially if that was in your name. Especially if that apartment was in your name. You can't kick out your own apartment. Especially if you hadn't done anything. But anyway, what happened in between 1978 1982, for the first time in American, I'll say in North American his history, where men and women were equal in education. That brief 4 year, 6 year period, between 4 and 6 years period, men and women were equal from 1978 to the early 80s, the early 1980s. I'll say 1982. So let's just say for purposes is not it's 4 years. But what is not gathered, right, is what happened to the men, the boys. Because when you elevate girls to a certain position in elementary and junior high, while the educators was trying to equalize education, girls, they try to elevate girls to a point where they didn't stop elevating, where girls are now the focus of the education, while boys have been left behind. And on top of that, it didn't help on this aspect that boys was being given psychotropic medication, Prozac, Ritalin, um, behavioral, changing their behavior to be mind numbing zombies. And by the time he becomes 18 years old, his mindset is not his mindset is that of it's not maturing. I'll put it like that. It's childlike as some respect. The energy that should have been spent in, you know, should have been spelt out when he was a preteen, and thus that's why you're having a problem. Why um, women, girls who grow up to become young ladies, uh, are not finding a mate because of what's happened to him uh, during his formidable years. He's having problems finding jobs, meaningful employment, I should say, and his education has been stunted. Thus, in his behavioral has not been checked because he's been giving medication rather than being taught, you know, what and what not to do. He becomes, you know, in Arrested Development. And that's why some women that's why some women are opting not to marry, not to have prodigy with these young men. But the problem is with this space, too many men are too focused on the sex and the dating and mating part. They don't understand what led on to this. They refuse to talk about it because because the solution is in the problem. You know, and I was going to talk more about this, concerning the incels, but when it comes to all factions of the manosphere, right? Whether that's MRA, MGTOW, True Force Loneliness, um, SYSBM, what's the other group that is called? Um, I forgot the other, all these other the subsections, and that's another thing. Y'all fail to recognize there's subsections within the Manosphere Red Pill ideology. Y'all just think Manosphere just one big. Everybody had the same ideas. No, all these factions got different agendas, and they have all different agendas. It's kind of like let's take the Republican Party. Let me use the Republican Party as an example, right? The Republican Party, and I'm using it as an example. There's factions within the Republican Party. You got the evangelicals, you got the neocons, you got the economic libertarians, um, and you got people who are um social conservatives. Those make up a coalition within the Republican Party. Same way like the Manosphere, you got, again, I'm gonna say this again, MRA, MGTOW, True Force Loneliness, uh, the PUAs, um, SYSBM, and the incels and so forth. So anyway, so they're all have different factors. They're all different factions and motivations and and so forth. Which some of y'all really don't grasp what's going on, right? The issue is the problem is why boys or men are being bashed over the head while men and boys are being treated unfairly for in um boys and men being treated unfairly um in favor of the girl or the woman. That's basically is the primary issues, whether it's sexual or not. Whether it's sexual or not. So don't think it's just purely about sex or dating. There's other issues, the legal issues like the um, false men who are falsely accused of assault, just like the brick lady issue, or what happened to Brian Banks, or I've got the guy in Kansas that happened. Same what happened to him in Kansas. That the guy who was forced to pay child support because he donated sperm to a lesbian married couple. Um, Things like that. Were um, what was problematic. So it's not all just one big giant group with one framework. No, it's multiple frameworks with a shared. Um, I'm using quotations enemy, right? So I hope people really need to get it right before they make these make these arguments, right? Also, how to defeat it, right? Now, there is a way to defeat the manosphere, or red pill, wherever you call it. There is a way to defeat it, and it is going to take, because it's a problem. It's going to take um, policy. You're going to have to create policy that will remedy the issue. Education, housing has to be addressed. No, education, housing, and employment. Those three things has to be addressed if you want to destroy the manosphere, or knock down its presence. You have to address those three key issues: unemployment, education, housing. The two E's and the H. EEH. Employment, education, housing. Okay. Um, because I think though, if you address all three of those issues, um, even if the guy does not get the girl at the end, right? As long as he has a fulfilling life, right? Long as he feels fulfilled in life, he doesn't go on YouTube and shame, blame, and explain. If he's fulfilled in life, he doesn't have to blame uh uh women. He doesn't have to triangulate this set of women against the other set of women. You have to sit there and use white women to go after black women, or use black women to go after white women, or use what other race of woman, Asian or Hispanic, to go after the other woman. Just like the whole just pro things issue. You wouldn't have to have men who are um if these men have fulfilling lives, right? Uh they wouldn't have to go to the extremes. Um they wouldn't have to go to the extremes to to be noticed in society, or to or they be in emotional pain that they will go to seek daddies like Donald Trump, or be a part of a fascist movement like MAGA, or the European, what's his name, in Hungary, Hungarian Romanian leaders who are elected by the Manosphere rhetoric in Europe, in the Western world. So I mean, it's not just um, and this issue is not just an American issue; it's also a global issue. It's a mostly um, this is usually in countries that has an industrial base: Japan, South Korea, United States, Canada, Western Europe, mostly in the northern world, the northern hemisphere nations. Let me see what Stanley said. Yeah, cause it feeds into MAGA. And don't and just say I said, now I know you said the black man, so I said the entire goddamn thing, not just the black man, but the entire goddamn thing got to go. It's a, you know they fed into MAGA. That's helped MAGA. That helped Donald Trump, help MAGA. And now no, the world's fucked up because it is not just in America. I know we are Americans, and we're American centric here, but the manager is more than just America. You got to put Hungary, Romania, some parts of England with Tommy Robinson over there in England. You know, some of the people in his movement are part of the Red Pill community. Um, it feeds into um, it gives leftover men the idea that they have to be identitarian, uh, to cater to the identitarian notion of society. And that need to be curbed. Yeah, it's me. So yeah, so DJ Rich Doctor did ask that question. The women don't know. The women hadn't learned anything. The only thing they learn is they're hated. Okay, that's all they know is that they're hated because they're light skinned or they're dark skinned, or for the sole fact that they're black women or they're women. Period. Right. That's all they know. So, in my opinion, they don't know the deep um issues that bubble up, um that cause all of this, right? And I'm probably one of the few people online that understands where it's coming from, how it started, um, what led on to this, the Me Too movement, the white girl that walked in NYC for 10 hours, the Brian Banks issue, the gaps in education, the gaps in housing, the gaps in um, the a lot of men are unemployed or underemployed. Um, a lot of that is really the problem, and because of the hopelessness, men are catering. These types of men are catering or gravitating towards that extreme, and yeah. So there's nothing more for me to add on that. Um, got nothing to say on that, so I'm gonna jump off here. um, that's my 2 cents. I'll talk more about this later on in the days, weeks to come, because I'm gonna do a video on incels and where it came from. Incels was not was originally was not about men. Incels was really about women not getting um sexual or was not getting sex from men, right? Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Is this mic working? Hello, hello. Is this mic working? Where was I at, y'all? Where was I at? I can't believe I was talking. I hit the wrong. Um. Okay. Let me go ahead and restate that because I can't believe I hit this button and I'm over talking. I made a good ass point, but let me talk about the populism. Stanley, how long was I out? How long was I? How long was my you, you didn't hear me because I'll make a badass point though, but um I hate to start over. Anyway, let me just start off the whole statement. Oh, well, let me do this. Let me do this. Let me do this. Right. Let me do this. This is so embarrassing. This is so embarrassing. Um, this is about the second time this happened to me. Um, the populist part um of your statement, right? You said populist, the populist uh movements will self end demote historically. Well, I somewhat agree with you, but as a student of history myself, right? The French Revolution and the wars, and the Napoleonic Wars, right? That that follow it. Most of the men during the time period, there were a lot of men who were leftover men, right? Men who live in poverty, men who lived in uh, who were self isolated based upon there was no upward mobility in society. Also happened in Spain in 1936. It was the same. It was the same pattern. See, I look at patterns, Stanley. I look at patterns, and patterns. Um, the patterns um, would reveal itself where all it feeds into civil wars and um, revolutions, and in our case, it fed into MAGA. So it's not just the black manosphere. I said the whole goddamn thing needs to go because we see how destructive it is. Anti anti intellectualism, anti um uh family, anti sense of community, and that's what it feeds into. So um I hope I got all what I said. It didn't sound good the second time he repeating itself because I listed a whole lot of good things, but it left. I hate when you talk and the mic hit, and then you said something that was so good, so elegant. Now it's all lost now. So I might need just get a mic to speak instead of a headset. Um, I get a headset because I need to, because I need a headset because niggas just don't know how to talk and act and all that stuff. But anyway, let me say something else too while I'm here, right? Going off from a serious topic, let me go to something that I cannot stand, and it is related, and why I have a problem with the women in this space. Y'all claim that y'all hate X, Y, and Z. Hold on. Let me say, hold on. Basically, populist movements do not get to destroyed by outside forces. It's self destruction. MAGA is just a Tea Party 2.0. Stanley, but also you also have to understand that what happened in China uh, in the 1800s, the early 1900s or late no the 18 no well the 100 years of Chinese being it being emasculated. um I'm gonna say it like this: Asian men have talked about the emasculation of how Asian manhood has been demoted since the opium wars, and how it feeds into their little gender war. That's why I like guys like the Chinese historian. You watch his channel, he says the same thing that I'm saying. Um, but black men in this space were failed to identify what's really the cause, but they still on this on this erroneous idea that men was kicked out the household, which men was not kicked out the household. Men just left um, for various reasons. Because black men watch too many movies and they listen to other people saying things, and then they repeat what other people saying without verifying um, the actual evidence. But anyway. I'm sorry. I'm anyway. Let me get back to where I was. The second point I was going to make: why I blame some women for this, right? What I'm about to talk about. And I want to say shout out to Auntie, okay? Shout out to Auntie, okay? Because Auntie identified what I'm talking about this person named Jay Prince, right? I'm really getting really I am so tired. And I said this about last year. I said why I have a problem. You complain about a certain personality, that the personality talked to you in the most disrespectful manner, called you out of your name, make threats to you. And I'm not just talking about Jay Prince, though, right? I mean, there's some more men who does this, right? There's a lot of men in the space that does this. One woman, well, actually, there's about 6 women that I know in this space flew across state lines to get with men who are okay. You said I'm well, the reason why I'm using China, because there's a crisis among Asian men, right? You go to Korea, especially South Korea, go to Japan, China, they have the same problem, right? They have the same problem that those 3 countries are industrialized the same way as the Western world is, right? And and they're having the same issue. Now, they may not have the education problem. I mean, if you want to talk about Japan, but if you look at all three of those countries, it's the issue: housing, education, employment. Same way like here in the Western world: housing, education, employment. And there's no upward mobility. So, well, no, this, Stanley, this is before the one child thing. This, what I'm referring to, Stanley. This, the one child policy thing was under, who enforced that? I think that was Mao. This is before China became communist, right? Or totally communist, right? What I'm talking about is from 1845 to 2026. Okay, the long period. Okay, if you take from 1845 to 2026, you see a problem, right? And you see a problem where from the opium wars up till today, the Chinese male is have problems with unemployment, education, and housing. Korea is the same way. Japan's the same way. You know, if you're looking at the pattern, it's the same pattern that you see in the West, and nobody don't want to identify uh the pattern. You know, yes, you're right. Mao's the one who introduced the one child policy. Yes, the one child policy backfired. That's why you having these problems. And it the China's one child policy made it worse. You know, it backfired. He was trying to address a population problem because of the famine, the Great Famine that he helped cause. Uh, so he tried to use the one child policy where boys was giving preference over girls. So a lot of baby girls were or baby fetuses were let's just say um canceled, if you will. Um their births were was canceled. So it's there. I wish somebody just write a book about how to take all these studies and write a book about how there's leftover men in these industrialized countries because the industrialized countries have one thing in common: the of eroding of community, the eroding of sense of community, I should say, not a community, but the sense of community is being eroded. Um, that's why you see a lot of young Japanese men uh, not taking themselves off the shelf of life. Um, they're not, you seeing that as being a problem. So yeah. So anyway, if you want to destroy it, you have to understand it first. Yeah, if you really want to defeat the Manosphere, you have to understand it first. You have to deeply understand it in order to destroy it. Go in there calling these men gay and call them real bros like what Sharon and Brownsville stupid asses be doing. You're only making it worse. All right. You got to understand where these men are coming from. Then you have to imply um to make sure there's no more boys being fed into the ideology. So anyway, that's all I gotta say right now. I don't got nothing to add. It was embarrassing. Hopefully, okay. I don't press this button no anymore on this headset. Uh, well, Stanley, all you got to do is read. Um, go look up the Red Pill, the documentary called the Red Pill that was made like about 10 years ago. Carolyn Strong, um, books by Dr. Helen A. Smith, um, Chrissy Haas Summers' book War on Boys, Educational Gap. Uh, it will tell you there is a pattern, and nobody want to address the pattern. Right? Everybody just want to get on YouTube and just say, the black woman is God shit and nana boo boo shit. No, you got to identify the problem, see what it is, create solution to that problem, and that little red pill ideology will fade away. All right. That's what I believe in. So anyway, let me get out of here. Um, I might be back. Who knows? I'm out. Oh, thank y'all for watching. And yes, donations are appreciated. And I'm getting out of here. I'm out.
I am not here to debate with anyone. I have devoted all of my adult life to this subject. I only debate with my equals. All others I teach.